But this fuckface is going to sit there and just focus on the negative portions. Gang, every industry has... Go fuck, before we roll this tape. God, what was it? What? I can't remember the name, but it's for pastors, gang. It's for pastors. It's for pastors and preachers that have lost all their faith. There is, because I remember Tracy Harris talking about it. But again, you have got no other marketable job skills, none at all. Gang, they're scorned by their industry, and this organization helps them make the transition. Christians, even you have this. This isn't just porn. Please go fuck yourself. Roll the tape.
I totally agree. You're on the right path, man. Except you need to make sure you're directing it in its proper context. The thing is, he's equating that with pornography, which is the opposite of biblical love and biblical sexuality. Biblical sexuality is committed, it's covenantal, it's one man, one woman within marriage, it's secure, it's selfless. But pornography is unfaithful, it is selfish, it is promiscuous, it is sexual immorality.
Pause the tape. So again, nothing he said was factual. Nothing. Gang, there are more than one way to be faithful. There is. I know people that are in very healthy, matter of fact, some of the most functional relationships that I know are open relationships. He's coming at this from a certain point of view, and I admit so am I. The difference is I'm willing to encompass all the points of views. He is not. I know people. I had a student, and no, this isn't creepy, but she was hot. She just was. And we were talking about it, and long story short, her genitals don't work unless her head and her heart are in sync. She can't have one night stands. It's just not the way she's wired. And she's telling me that, I'm like, okay, I just learned some shit. But if I showed you what she looked like, I promise you guys would be like, oh my God. She can get anybody. And I do mean literally anybody. But if her head isn't in it, if her heart isn't in it, then her genitals just won't work. There are people out there like that. Then there are people that are like, I'm just going to jerk off inside your vagina, or I want you to jerk off inside my vagina or my butthole or whatever the fuck. There's a whole bunch of different sex drives and what people define as faithful. Yeah. Again, there are porn stars that are happily married that can 100% separate what they do at work versus what happens at home. But what he refuses to do is to take into the account that there are people who do not think like he does. I'm willing to give Daily Disciple, if that's who he really is, and if he can't get down with the wedding ring, I'm like, knock yourself out. But what he's not willing to do is to see that maybe there's another side to sex, sexuality, to what people define as faithful. Gang, before we roll this fucked up ass tape and wrap this up, I'm not exaggerating when I tell you this. I know couples, and one in particular, for whatever reason, it is their boundary. You know what that boundary is? Doggy style. I'm not joking. If you do doggy style with someone else, they find it to be disrespectful. There's a whole, again, there are so many different definitions of faithful, and you don't have to agree with them. You just don't have to practice it, but give other people latitude to do what they want to do sexually. How hard is that? Roll the tape. Let's wrap this up.
Embody. The tragic thing about this video that Brandon decided to make is people are going to watch this video and they're going to tell themselves when they're about to go into sin, they're going to say, well, this is a gift from God. Sexual pleasure is a gift from God, so I can masturbate or I can watch pornography. It's like, it's a gift from God. No, how you're using that's not a gift from God. You're distorting and you're twisting a gift from God, a good desire that God has given you. And
Gang, pause the tape, end the tape. I can't. Nah, I'm maxed out. I'm maxed out. Right? Again, you want to know why I'm maxed out? You guys want to know why Uncle Bobby is maxed the fuck out? Because we're not having the same conversation. Right? His monkey ass is literally sitting there talking about magical curses. You can't jerk off all over yourself. You can't have premarital sex. People in the porn industry, all kinds of fucked up. You want to know why? Because Rib Woman ate an apple. You want to know why she ate an apple? Because a talking snake told her to do so. We're not having the same conversation because he read the Bible and said, holy shit, this is real. I'm reading the Bible nowadays and saying this is just sitting on some bullshit. Again, the rest of the 5 minutes left, it's going to be the same shit. It's going to be Brandon saying, you know what? You be you. It's okay to be you. And then it's going to be Daily Disciple saying, what is that, a natural impulse? Fuck that shit. You're a horrible person. Okay, please go fuck yourself, gang. Uncle Bobby's only giving you one big motherfucking problem. So as a result, Uncle Bobby's gonna give you one big motherfucking solution. For the 1 billionth time, Daily Disciple, shut the fuck up. Again, gang, this dude would be so much happier. Oh, Robert, by what moral standard do you go? Shut the fuck up. This guy would be so much happier if he just took the Bible and used it as toilet paper. Right? Again, everything about this guy, he hates himself. And he especially hates his sexual urges. And he wants you to hate yourself and your sexual urges as well. Gang, there's nothing wrong with jerking off all over yourself. There's nothing wrong with being attracted to the same gender. Hey, just grow up. It's 2023 and we're still having to have the fucking discussion on who can have sex and who cannot. Right? Again, Christians, I say the same thing every time when it comes to this topic. Do you know who pays the bills up in this house? Huh? Me. Right? If you want to come in here and tell me what to do, start putting some money down these goddamn bills, and then maybe I will listen. Until then, Uncle Bob's going to do all the fucking he wants, and I'm not looking for your permission. If you're listening to this, if I can tell you anything, it's you be you. If there's a Christian listening to this, first and foremost, thank you for listening to me rant for 59 minutes and 12 seconds. You be you. And there's nothing, look, even Buddy, look at Buddy. Look at Buddy. What do you think, Buddy? Buddy says do some fucking. Look, if your sex act does not include a victim, then party on, Garth, knock yourself out. There's nothing wrong with porn. Porn stars are not immoral. This isn't a word game, adult film industry. It's what it actually is. And again, if we're just gonna, I just belch hashtag unprofessional. Christians, if we're just gonna sit here and talk about the disgruntled people in an industry, let's start with your guys. There are pastors, there are preachers, deacons, cardinals, all that shit, who sit there and they're like, I don't believe any of this. I don't believe any of this. You guys have disgruntled members of your industry as well. We all have. No matter what you do for a living, there are going to be people that are not happy at that job. But the thing is, at least in the United States, when we talk about sex work, we have still such a puritanical view on sex that right off the bat, these people are broken. They're drug addicted. They all have daddy issues. Okay, again, before we sign off, I want to get this in. I remember there was one. And okay, again, go fuck yourself. Wood Rocket. It's a great fucking channel. And one of their snippets was, how far did you get in school? You guys would be surprised on how educated some of these men and women actually are. They didn't get into porn because they couldn't do anything else. They got into porn because that's what they wanted to do. They made a choice and they stepped on the gas pedal and they went forward to go into an industry that they knew full and good and goddamn well what they were getting themselves into. Look, if you want to learn about the adult film industry, listen to the people that are actually in it. Listen to the good and listen to the bad, and then come to your own decision. Make your own call. But when you sit here, look at his fucking face. When you sit here and you listen to someone who thinks that there's a curse upon the world, and again, if you take your next breath, you're a bad person. That's where he's starting at. If you have a sexual thought, if you have a sexual desire, you're fucked up. Now, if you listen to the likes of Daily Disciple talk about the adult film industry, I feel sorry for you. If you actually want to know the actual factuals about the industry, do your own research. But more importantly, when it comes to you, if you get horny and you want to jerk off all over yourself, if you just need something bigger than you to tell you it's okay, chances are I'm bigger than whoever the fuck is listening to me. It's okay. If you want to do some fucking and you don't have a wedding ring on, here's someone bigger and more powerful than you, it's okay. Again, if everyone involved in your sex act, be it just you yourself, a partner, or a group of partners, if everyone is on the up and up, knock yourself the fuck out. You don't need anyone's permission. You don't. Except for you and whoever you may be stroking with. It's all good, baby. It is all gravy. Sexuality is normal. It is healthy. And gang, you should enjoy it. All right, gang, the big guy's held you long enough. He's signing the fuck off. Gin and Truth, let's go.
I came out to them, and kids gotta just get it. They understand. Just say, hey, you're going to the doctor and you need to do this thing. Like, I don't think you need to know the specifics about, unless you are very clear about anatomical parts already with your child. You're the parent, so you have control over that conversation. But really, I don't know if the specifics are as important to the child, other than they know that you're not going to be able to pick them up. You're not going to be able to, pick up the room, and they're going to have to be more helpful, right? And picking up their stuff and things like that, and just say that you're hurting. And I think kids understand that you're in a physical pain and things like that. So I would be light on the details, but understanding that you are sick, or not sick. That's not the right word, but just you're healing from a recovery from the hospital, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I good luck with that, Samantha. That's definitely a big burden, especially being away for so long with kids. I'm sure that's difficult to plan for. So I wish you the best of luck going for that. And congratulations also, above all. Yeah. Congratulations, because that is difficult to get all the pieces in line for that. So I'm super happy for you, and I wish nothing but the best.
Yeah, all right, definitely.
Well, thank you for your time.
Be patient. Be patient. That's all I have to say. I'm 4 months in. It's tough.
Awesome. Just thanks so much to Samantha. All right, we have got tons of lines. There's some spicy calls, so I hope everyone who's on the line right now stays. We're going to try our best to get to all of you. But first, we're going to bring in really quick. We've got Nora from Texas. Pronouns are she, her. She, her. I said that really weird.
Wow.
Nora, you are on the line. My first time talking. Welcome, Nora. What's going on?
Hi, you two. I just wanted to say that there seems to be some kind of trend with the chairs that you and student Dr. Ben have, because I have the same kind of chair.
It's the cheapest gaming chair on Amazon, I think, which is why Forrest Valkai, who runs is it Skep Talk, I think, on Tuesdays, he also has, I think, 2 or maybe even 3 of these chairs. It was on the New Year's special. He brought them all out, and we were all laughing that we all have the same chair. So, yeah. What's your question, though, Nora? What's going on?
Well, I'm 9 months on HRT, and I wanted to ask about what kind of expectations I should have in kind of long term, specifically about breast growth and finally being seen as a woman, and didn't know if you had any input on that and if you needed any backstory on it.
I mean, definitely have input. I'm curious if you're comfortable disclosing what methods of HRT you're taking, because that can definitely impact expected effects and stuff. I mean, if you're not comfortable disclosing, that's totally okay. There's still plenty to talk about there.
Okay, well, I'm taking the pill form of estradiol and spironolactone.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
And
no, go ahead.
Before I started, I don't know if you know by heart what Tanner stages are, but I started out as 2.5 and now I'm on 3. So I've got a little bit of growth, but not much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Arden, if you want to start.
Okay.
So, it's fine. Okay.
Sorry, we're dancing.
We're crashing into each other.
I think basically what you're going to hear from the doctor, or at least what I remember hearing on my informed consent forums, was that you're probably going to see most of your major breast development just on estrogen within the first 2 years of treatment. However, I would challenge that, because my experience with other trans women and my experience on hormones was that and I think just from knowing other women going through puberty, everyone's different, and I think sometimes there are spurts. You go through growth spurts. Maybe in those first 9 months when you're starting hormones, you see a lot of development, and then it kind of plateaus for a while. But hold out hope. There is almost always going to be another spurt or two. I would say the first 6 years, you can probably expect spurts of growth. But if you're struggling and you're feeling like there's nothing that's going on, I hope you're getting your blood levels checked, because sometimes for people who take the pill, this is, I think, not even for a majority of people who take the pill.
It happened to me. I already know where you're going.
So people plateau, and the reason for this is for something called the first pass effect, which I wish Ben were here to give you the more medically explanation. But basically, it means that estrogen is getting converted in your liver to a weaker form of estrogen. And so a lot of people find that switching to the patch or injections or implants are more effective after those first few months or the first year or two. So that it's not to urge you to switch, not to feel like your medicine's not working. Definitely trust your doctor, get your blood levels checked, and make sure that they're aware of to look out for these things. Because to be honest, it's unfortunate, but as trans people, we actually have to educate our doctors a lot of the time on things that aren't always commonplace yet in the field. So bringing that up is always worth doing. But yeah, did you have anything else? Do you want to add something to that, Josie?
Yeah, I do. So it happened to me at 9 months. Around that time, I started getting hair growth more aggressively. I started getting migraines, and I felt like I was remasculinizing. And I actually called my endo. My endo's like, okay, let's get your levels checked. And then basically my testosterone was back on the rise and my estrogen was already going down because my pills just stopped working for me. My body was metabolizing it too quickly. And I moved to patches, and I have not gotten off since. It's been the best thing that's happened, and I saw kind of a very quick ramp up because there is the science is it's good to start a little slower so your body kind of gets primed for estrogen, so it's not like you're losing any time, by the way, if this is what's going on. But I also want to mention, if you're not having any of those things and your blood work is fine, do what your doctor is telling you in that regard. Like if your levels are looking good and everything's good. But I say this, you're probably not going to look at your boobs in the mirror and not be happy until like 18 months. I'm just going to go ahead and say it because that's at least it was for me. My family historically has pretty, not small, but I think the largest, my grandmother, I think is a D, but everyone else in my family is maybe like a large B, C, and I'm at like an A. So like, and I'm pretty happy with the way things turned out for me. But I did also just have surgery, so they say that more might happen. I don't know. I'm not holding my breath. But one thing I would want to say, and I tell this to my friends who are trans and are in the early stages or in the kind of like baby trans phase, I like to say, is transition isn't all just hormonal either, right? Like one of the things that I try to tell people is there's never going to be a point in the mirror when you look at yourself. I don't think any human has this issue when they take their clothes off and stand in a full-bodied mirror and don't have something about their body. It's like, why, right? It's just our human nature to look at our bodies naked and be like, oh my gosh, the imperfection, right? So what to do? Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's like about a week ago, I noticed that I have a deviated septum that I want to get fixed. So, I mean, there's always going to be something.
Always going to be something. So really, a lot of transition, in my opinion, especially if your identity, with your identity, is sometimes how you choose to express yourself, right? Like if you want to have the gender identity of a woman, but you want to express yourself more masculine or more feminine, that style is a part of the transition too. Like whatever that is, like looking at yourself in the mirror fashionably, and you're like, oh, I look great, right? In the way that's also part of it. And I think that we forget that a lot of that is our mannerisms, how we talk, how we communicate, and that's all part of the package if you choose it to be, right? And so I found that to be really helpful for me because like as I was going through my own transition, it was almost like magic. One day, everybody just started to gender me right. And I'm just like, what the heck happened? Did society just figure it out one day? And it's just who you are as a person, and people just can't just read it right off of you, right? And so you're still early in your transition, and I'm sure everything is going absolutely wonderfully. But, I always say if there's a mascot for transition, it is a snail. It is slow, it is slimy, it's got a pretty shell, but salt burns and is dangerous to cross sidewalks in public. Okay, so that's why I always say transition is a snail, and you have to be patient. You got to be brave to go out there and do it. Right. And or you'll never get to the other side. So be who you are, and and it's already wonderful where you are now. And it always gets better over time. Always. I mean, I'm about to hit 3 years and I can't believe I'm here. Like, it's wild.
So true.
Yeah, a friend of mine is actually going to be taking me to my very first Pride event this year, so that's going to be really fun.
Yay!
Oh, that's awesome. I love
and he said he said you're going to wear a dress, and I'm like, well, I've got one. I just don't know if I'm ready to wear in public yet.
Well, if there's ever a place, it really is Pride. I would say of the few places when I was earlier in my transition where I felt like truly safe to just experiment and really feel it. Actually, interestingly enough, the first place I came out to my best friend in the whole world, I mean, like, I consider this person a brother, like the most important person to me, him and his girlfriend, I came out to them at a Pride event. Was like, I think they knew that I was maybe thinking about transitioning, but it was like I showed up with a shirt that had she, her, hers pronouns on it, and they were like, oh my god, they hugged me and we all cried, and it was beautiful. And it really is, Pride is the space for that. So I definitely think if you are thinking that you want to, but you're holding back because you're not ready, Pride is a great place to experiment with that. Because I think much like what Josie was saying, you really do just kind of have to like pull the trigger and let people, see you, and to accept that, like, regardless of how they interpret or whatever, you are a woman, you are you, and you are out there being yourself. And regardless of how they see you, that doesn't change who you are or how you have to feel about yourself. And that's not to say that, people's words and actions shouldn't make you feel crummy sometimes. They're gonna, and that's just being a human being. But definitely, I think that is a great plan, and I hope you do it. And I hope you call in and tell us what it's like, because I would love to know. Pride is my favorite thing in the whole world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I just started voice training. I've got my first session in a few days ago, and so that's going to be a journey on its own. And so I'm working on some facial hair removal. And I figure by the time Pride event rolls around, I should be able to hold a full conversation with my preferred voice and my goal voice, and